again. Good morning, everyone. How are you? Good. My name is Mindy Bailey Miralia. Does anybody know who I am? Has anybody heard anything about me? Yes? No?
Yes.
What'd you hear?
Texas, I heard you're
Anything?
the author of that book.
I'm an author of that book? That's right. Anything else? I grew up in Liberty. Anybody know that? And I am back to share my journey. In part, I'm not going to sit here and tell you my whole life story, but I'll tell you a little bit. I was born in Houston. I'm soon transported right here to Liberty. My parents, John and Jewel Bailey, lived here forever. I graduated Liberty High School at age 16. Yeah. I was ready to get out and to go begin my life's journey. I went to college, started out at Lee College because I was so young. That's the only way the counselors here in the schools would let me graduate early. So I started at Lee, then I went to the University of Houston. After that, I ended up living and working overseas in Singapore. And my parents used to say, golly, Mindy, if we could just bore a hole from here in Liberty straight through the earth, then we could get to you faster than traveling around the earth to get to you for a visit. I had a child who this book is about. His name is Micah Aaron Matthew Felchman. And he was my buddy. We journeyed around this earth together. He died, actually here in Liberty about 4 years ago, which was very shocking. My son was a drug addict. He was a heroin addict. And he ended up taking his own life. Not good, eh? And he did it here in Liberty, at my parents' house. Most people don't know that. But what I wanted to do is come back here and share our journey in ways that it may help you on your journey. Okay? How many of you are familiar with different kinds of drugs that are out there today? It's all kinds, right? They're coming out new all the time. We don't know. I mean, there's new drugs that come out all the time. And we'll get more into that a little bit after a while, because I want to share something with you later toward the end of our time together that I want you to be able to take away from here, that you can use to help you to make a decision, because ultimately the decision is no one else's but yours. You hear me? You guys are in the driver's seat when you decide, oh, I'm going to try something once, or I'm not going to try anything at all. It's only on you. So what I wanted to say about the book, The Hero and Heroin, is titled such because after my son died, he started coming back with messages, with information. I know that sounds weird, and it was weird to me too in the beginning, but he wanted me to be doing exactly what I'm doing right now, to tell you not to do some of the things that he did. And that's why I'm here. I'm here for him, and I'm here for me, and I'm here for you. The book is written in 3 parts. The first part talks about our journey. I don't go as far back as being in Liberty, but I start out with when I met his father. So in the first part, we go from his birth to his death in the first part of the book. The middle part of the book is about the times that he came back to me and to other people after he passed. It wasn't just me, I thought, yep, people say she's a crazy mom and she's making this stuff up. He came back to others too, and there are others who have their accounts that are in the book. And the last part of the book are excerpts from his writings. He was a voracious writer. He was a straight-A student. He was not the classic image of what people think a drug addict or a heroin addict was back in the day when they were laid out in some alleyway and nobody was around them. That is not the image of heroin addiction and drug addiction today. Are you guys aware of that? You know that? Straight-A students, athletes. It's not just for a few. It transcends all socioeconomic strata. You understand what I mean when I say that? So what I wanted to do was just read a few excerpts from the book. And I want to just share some of these things. Some of them could be kind of raw for me, but I'm not doing my job if I can't share these things. There was a point in time in our lives where the man that I was married to had a child by another woman who was my stepson, right? Blended families. How many of you come from or have or know of blended families? A lot, right? Okay. Well, my son and my stepson were exactly 3 years apart. And at the time, my son was age 5. And there's a copy of this inside the book where he wrote, you know, the paper that you learn to write on that's got the real wide lines on it with the little thin one in the middle. That's what he wrote on. And fortunately, my publisher was able to get that original document into this book. And when you read or you can see the young child's writing, it's very moving. Because even at a young age, he was able to express himself, if not in words spoken, in words written. So I'll read this to you. It's entitled, If It Weren't for You, Dad. If it weren't for you, Dad, I would not have fun. If it weren't for you, Dad, where would I get my love? So please, Dad, don't go away. I need you so much. So don't ever go away from me. Here is the part that is so true. So listen up. If it weren't for you, I cry so bad. So don't leave me alone. I need you. And then I need you is written really big. Well, I found this, I don't know, long time after he'd written it, but I retained it. And in writing the book, I was like, why did I retain this? Why did I keep this? But what happened is that I remember along the way, Michael, who was my husband at that time, referred to his son, Christopher, as his #1 son. And he only meant that Christopher had been born first. But my son, Matthew, interpreted the words to mean that he wasn't as good as Christopher, and that he might never be. And he desperately wanted and needed his father's undivided attention. Age 5. How many of you have ever felt something like that, where you haven't felt good enough in some way? Not smart enough, not thin enough, not beautiful enough. Right. Well, he took this at age 5, and it became a thought form. A thought form turned into being something that he carried with him all of his life. Never been good enough. The question is that true? Is that true? No. We're all good enough. We are all fine. All we did is hear somebody outside of us make a comment, and because we may not quite have understood it, all of a sudden our minds take it as, well, we're not good enough, otherwise they wouldn't have said that out there. Follow what I'm saying? Who has control and charge of how you think? Somebody out there? Who? Answer. Yourself. That's right. So anytime you're feeling not good enough, what do you say? What do you say to yourself? Ask. Am I really just kind of making this up? Somebody outside of you might have a strange behavior, but is that because of you? No. No. So one of the things that I would like for you to be aware of as you leave from here today is how you think. Because you have absolute control over how you think. And if you don't want to think a thought, you don't have to. Because thoughts are no more than cars driving on the freeway. All of a sudden you decide there's hundreds of thousands of them out there, and the space between you and me, millions of thoughts are traveling around out there. And all of a sudden you decide to grab one. It's like grabbing a thought on the freeway. And that's the one you hang on to. And you grab it. And the more you think about it, the more it becomes an emotion. And when it becomes an emotion, you're either happy about it, sad about it, but for the most part, we don't hold on to those happy thoughts, do we? Do we? Which ones do we hang on to? I can't hear you.
Negative.
Negative, yeah. For some reason, as a human, I guess, the way we're built, we'll hang on to a negative one. And we'll get all mad and angry and blame everybody else for why our lives isn't working. But really, it has nothing to do with anybody outside of us and everything to do with us. So don't forget that. And anytime you're not doing well or feeling well, you're feeling down, you're feeling sad, you're feeling not good enough, stop dead in your tracks and ask yourself, what have I been thinking? And you can undo it. You can choose to undo it. You're just like, oh, let that thought go. Just like, you remember the old game? Maybe your parents didn't have it, but it was called Pac-Man. And the little guy just went around eating up the little balls, right? I'm sorry? Well, today, what I want you to do is if you have those thoughts that come in, just pretend you're playing Pac-Man. Or pretend you're just cloud busting. When you start thinking those thoughts that are negative, that are not helpful to you or anybody around you, you just let them go. Pop them. And when you pop them, you just keep thinking pop, 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 pop. Because the more you try not to think about something, the more you will think about it. Has anybody experienced that? It's like, I don't want to think about not feeling good about myself. And the more you start having your self-talk about not feeling good about yourself, then you end up thinking more about it. So the little popping clouds or the Pac-Man game is a way to help get rid of that thought. Do you follow me? So this is something that I learned after the fact about my son that I didn't realize as a parent early on in his life. It was after the fact. And if I had done something differently or had known about him really taking it in this way, then perhaps I could have had a conversation with him. But I didn't have that opportunity. So I'd like to read a couple of more excerpts from the book. But I want to read some of his other writings, okay? Because you guys are, what are your ages? 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay. Here is one he wrote at age 13. It is entitled Hugs, and this is before the drugs came into his life. Hugs. It's wondrous what a hug can do. A hug can cheer you when you're blue. A hug can say, I love you so, or, gee, I hate to see you go. A hug is welcome back again, and great to see you, or where have you been? A hug can soothe a small child's pain and bring a rainbow after rain. There's no doubt about it, we scarcely could live without it. A hug delights and warms and charms. It must be why God gave us arms. Kittens crave them, puppies love them. Heads of state are not above them. A hug can break the language barrier and make the dullest day seem merrier. What do you think? 13. That was age 13. Let's see here, the next one. Here's a brief introduction. I was brought into this world on May 17, 1979 at 5:10 a.m. Central Standard Time in the small West Texas town of Lubbock. My mother's firstborn and my father's second son. I was welcomed into a broken home. Just days after arriving, my folks decided to relocate back to Houston, and still to this day, I have never returned to my place of birth. So for the most part, I've always considered myself to be a Houstonian. Plus, both of my parents were born in Houston, and many of my grandparents were born in the Lone Star State as well. To make a very long story short, I'm either a 9th or 10th generation Texan. Anyway, our family wasn't in Houston for all that long before my dad's company moved us to Singapore. I started school in Southeast Asia and lived there until the age of 5, maybe 4. Thanks to my father's job, our family was relocated on quite a regular basis. However, it seems that everything changed in our family when we moved to Charlotte, North Carolina from Los Angeles, California. It was at this stage of the game when my parents had decided to get a divorce and I was just entering the dark world of drug addiction. I was about 14 years old, and this is when my life turned into a series of war stories. The first buzz. I told my mother I was going to the movies with a friend and needed about $10 so I could pay for the movie and some popcorn. When my mom dropped me off at the theater, my buddy was sitting outside waiting for my arrival. As my mother drove off, my friend asked me if I wanted to just skip the movie and split a bag of herbs. I had never smoked weed in my life and really didn't know what he was talking about. I didn't want him to think that I was some kind of loser, so I said, sure, heck with the movie. Next thing I know, Doug, my friend, yeah right, stole some rolling papers from the drugstore, and we proceeded to wander off into the woods behind the movie theater. So here I am sitting in the woods, watching Doug roll what would be the first joint to ever cross my path. I remember it being dark, so I really didn't get a good look at what was in that plastic baggie. By this time, I knew that we were about to smoke pot, and I started to get a little nervous. At all the thoughts and tales of drugs that I had been told in school, and by my parents, began racing through my head. Now the joint was burning, and I remember watching Doug smoke it. But not like how you smoke a cigarette. He was taking enormous puffs, holding them in as long as he could and coughing furiously. After he hit it a few times, he passed the joint my way, and butterflies rocked my stomach. I had tried cigarettes, so I knew I didn't have smoke, but the first time I hit the joint, I exhaled too fast. Doug was quick to tell me that I needed to hold it in, so I did. Well, we finished blazing the joint and walked out of the woods, back to the theater. We'd been sitting down when we were smoking, and I really didn't feel any kind of high whatsoever. However, when I got up and started walking, it all hit me at once. I felt like I was walking beside myself, like I was floating. Then I just started laughing for no reason. Everything seemed hilarious. And I realized that I loved everything about being high. My mother picked me up from the theater and had no idea that I was higher than a kite. I think I laughed all the way home. So when I got home, I ate a whole bag of potato chips dipped in ketchup. I remember sleeping like a baby that night. And when I woke up, I called Doug to check and see if there was any weed left over. Since I paid for half of the bag, I wanted my half. I went by his house, and he put my half in a separate bag. And just like that, I was hooked. I want to take the next few minutes, and I want to show you something about thoughts. These are just coat hangers, just, from the cleaners. Coat hangers that, imagine it had gone up like this, and the thing that you're hanging on the bar with was there. I just snip the coat hangers on either end. And I have straws here that I slip them down into. And what I want to show you is the impact of the invisible on the visible, like the thoughts. We don't think about some of the things that we can't see, do we? We're unaware of some of the things that we absolutely cannot see, but it doesn't mean that they're not there. Has anybody ever thought about that? Anyone? You've thought about things you can't see? In what way? Answer me. You don't know? You've thought about it, but you don't know what made you think about what you can't see? Well, one of the things that I'd like to share with you is that the human body has an energy field that goes around it. And have you ever walked into a room where someone had been arguing and you could feel it when you walk in and they quit, and you've heard the phrase, the air was so thick you cut it with a knife? Any of that? Okay, well that's pretty much what I'm talking about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that interaction with our thoughts and the electromagnetics of our thoughts and our human energy field. And then I'm going to ask someone from the audience to come up here and do the same thing with their peers, because I want you to be able to see that you are more powerful than you realize you are. And there is more to you than just what you can see. Okay? So I'm going to come downstairs. I'm going to come down to do this part because I want to be level with you. I don't want to be above you, okay? Can you guys hear me back in the back? Yes? Okay. Coat hangers, straws. Now when I put these in here, they're going to go a little haywire. I have to hold them down until I let them go. I need some names. Let me just see. I'm going to show you, and I will direct my thoughts different directions. The thoughts will be positive or negative, because negative travels just as well as positive, and I told you we focus more on negative than positive, right? And the hangers will go, they'll move. And then I'm going to show you how you can close your energy field. See how these things start just going a little haywire? I am Mindy. I am here to share with everyone here how much I love you. My heart is open. My mind is open. I choose to close my energy field. I don't want anybody's thoughts affecting me. The woman that is doing the video is Melissa. I send love to Melissa. To the gentleman standing by the door, hi, I'm glad to be here. To the girls in the corner over there that are looking, laughing, yes, I see you. My thoughts are going straight to you. Again, I love you all. No, I do not want anything to do with drugs. Close my energy field. I choose not. Now, I need one of you guys come up here. Who wants to come do it? Come on. And what I'm telling you is that if you think about drugs, you will bring them to you. Listen up. If you're thinking about it, you will bring it to you. Good or bad. Hi, what's your name? JJ, hi, nice to meet you. Now, can you tell your buddies what this is? What is this? What do I have? Coat hangers, yeah, okay. And? Okay, just drop the ends down into the straw. Got it? Okay. Okay, now hold them. You don't have to squeeze them. Let's hold them down a little bit. Okay? Now, you need to hold them like this or they'll go crazy. Now I'm going to leave it to you. Separate your arms just like that a little bit. Now, you think what you want to think, and you send them where you want them to go. Send a thought somewhere. You've got someone in here that you know, all of you, but someone a little differently. Focus your thought, and you can say it aloud, but you send it. Now, when you think, you go around thinking like that, just think. Now, let us know what you're thinking so they know why they're thinking, why they're driving that way.
I'm trying to give them.
Are you sending a good thought or a bad thought? It's a good thought, okay. See? It's pretty fascinating, isn't it?
Look at that.
I'm telling you, this is the power of our thoughts. It's the electromagnetic field of the human body. And I want you to take this away. If nothing else, I want you to take this away today. It is real. You doubt me? Go home, make your own coat hangers and straws. Real simple. Very simple. And just remember that positive thoughts, good thoughts, I am good enough, are the ones you really kind of want to focus on and learn to let go of the ones I'm not good enough. And play with them. And with that, does anybody else want to try it? One more person? All right, let's take it. What do you think? What do you think? It's cool? It sure is. What's your name? Okay. Now remember, they'll go crazy in the beginning because they're picking up the field of everybody, and until you can direct them, they'll just go crazy. walk away from here today and remembering? What? Coat hangers are magical. What's the purpose of the magical coat hangers? And what about the electromagnetic field of the human body? Affected by how you think. Anyone else? Question? No, we have to finish now, all right? I want to thank you all for having me. It's been a pleasure. I want you to take your coat hangers, but more importantly, I want you to remember the messages. Remember the choices you have, and remember that how you think, even though you may not be able to see a thought, how you think is incredibly powerful. What you think, you create. Thank you very much. By the way, if you want to come and get a book, the books, I will be signing books on Friday afternoon, 4 to 6 p.m. I would love to see you. I'd love for you to read the book and get the rest of the messages.
At the
So
library.
if you have a chance, it's over at the library, the Cultural Center, Geraldine Humphrey Cultural Center, 4 to 6. Bring your friends, bring your family. I'd love to see you. Thanks.
All right, the teachers, if you will, if you want to go ahead and head back to class.